Right, I think I'm ready to begin. Are you guys all here? Ready to begin as well?
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. I don't hear anyone saying no, but at the same time it would also be kind of weird if someone said no to being here. Alright, well, I'll start like this. I did a kind of individual coaching session not long ago, and we ended up talking about Inferno. We talked about how to take banana, and yeah, trying to explain it for the first time, it hit me that like you can kind of split up the different ways of taking banana control in 3 parts. So as CT, there is like taking banana, there is midway aggression, and there is passive setups. So since you guys seem pretty confident, and since I clicked on some of your like profiles real quick, I can see your like rough elo. This is probably stuff you know as well. Maybe you've never thought about it as in splitting it up in 3 parts, but the very basic of it is when you take banana, I mean, you do some kind of utility that makes you be able to take all this control, right? If you're doing midway aggression, you play somewhat out sandbags, probably with some kind of a setup, so you kind of have a sort of trap going. As soon as the T's take this space, you either play with a flash or some kind of a molo or a setup, and with this you you basically defend this part, which we'll call the midway. And then the last part is the passive setups. And the passive setups, the best example of this, which has been used since the dawn of time in Counter-Strike, is like jiggle peeking with a smoke or Molotov. And when you get contact, you just drop the utility, you block off the main entrance, and this allows you to buy time for the rotating CTs, basically. This is all pretty simple, but we will go much more in detail with it. I'll basically explain to you different ways to do each thing. So for taking banana, for example, I will show you a few different ways of taking banana control. For midway aggression, I will show you a few different setups you can play with that. In terms of the passive setups, I will show you some good setups that I've run in pro teams as well. And then afterwards, we'll try to go into the like T-side counters to each. So basically I'm going to teach you what you should do, and then afterwards I'm going to teach you how to counter what I just showed you, is my idea. And then at the end we will talk a little bit about what you should do when, as a CT and as a T. If you guys have any questions throughout today, this is obviously like a class, and I am very much interested in making sure that you guys understand what I'm saying. I will never ever get mad or flustered or anything by someone interrupting me. So if you have a question or if you have anything at all, feel free to pitch in. But the way I see it, my job as a coach is I want to give you guys as much knowledge as possible, so you get your money's worth in the time that we have. So I will probably leave very little natural room to talk. There might be some times where I will be asking you guys questions, where it will be a little bit like in school. You don't need to raise your hand if you don't want to, but you can provide a possible answer to the question, and that way I will also kind of, I guess, test you guys a little bit, but I will also get the chance to, maybe create some new thoughts and make you think about things that you haven't thought about before. So, does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Alright, so most of you who have probably played Inferno at some kind of a decent level will probably know that the completely standard banana take looks something like this. The first spawn of the 2 CTs will just be smoking off bottom banana. On this version of Inferno, this like in CS2, the wall is completely flat, so it's very easy to land the smoke without it hitting like the door or something like this. What we used to do back in CSGO was, as one of you mentioned just before, hitting like the Molotov on a skybox, for example, and it bouncing down and landing roughly around here to block any aggression. The way I've always chosen to do it, because I feel like it's more consistent and more controlled, is just smoking deep and Molotoving close. The way you wanted to do it in CSGO was you tried always to get your Molotov to land in a way where you preferably want to Molotov out this corner so no one can hide behind the wall, but you want the Molotov to be as far down banana as possible, simply because if you did these two Molotovs and this one went too close to the wall, it would leave a gap in between the Molotovs where a T could play and maybe get a wall flash, go up and kill. So this is like the only important thing for the first guy on CT is come here, you smoke deep, you Molotov, but don't Molotov like this so it just bounces on the wall. Molotov a little bit deeper so that you actually burn out the corner but also burn a little deeper. Now the second guy, the Molotov that I've found for you guys, is just stopping on this line and you aim, I believe it was here. This one goes deep and I don't know, sometimes it kind of bugs, but most of the time, for me at least, it burns both sides. Meaning that if you combine these two Molotovs, you should have basically all of banana Molotov. See, I even made the mistake of leaving a gap here. So definitely make sure you bounce this Molotov far enough. Molotov spread a little further in CS2, at least just from what I've kind of noticed. So it is actually easier to burn out the whole of banana in a pretty simple way. But this is like the easiest way of kind of fulfilling the first step of taking banana. Now, there are some other ways that you can do this, and one that I really like doing when my team has a low buy round is that I will buy a SMG. Since I'm in the practice mode of CS2 and the game is quite new, I believe I can't join CT, so I'll be doing everything on T. But just imagine I have an MP9 instead of a MAC-10 and I think we'll be good. So there is a way of taking banana which is very explosive that I've had in almost all teams, and the name that I have for it is Rogue. The only important thing on Rogue is you need 2 CTs on B, which is very normal, and then you need the front spawn. So the guy with the best spawn towards mid, he will run here, run over to mid and throw this Molotov. This Molotov blocks off mid, but more importantly it blocks off for the guy who's playing slope to help the guy who's playing inside B. Now, we'll get into this later, but a lot of pro players and just in general good players on Inferno, to counter a banana take as T, they will be inside banana, and when the Molotov drops, they will be smoking it off. So an example could be the Molotov here, the guy will be here and he will be smoking this off far to the left, so he kind of leaves a gap for himself. I don't have a lineup for this right now in CS2, but this was how it worked in CSGO, and either way you should be able to just throw it pretty far on the left. Even with this, you have a gap where you can actually see what's going on and you can ask for a flash from a teammate and you can swing out and you can kill. That is why, and again we will get into this later, the way people counter a banana take can kind of be split up into 2. Either you play outside banana as T or you play inside banana as T. And this tactic Rogue is a direct counter to people playing inside banana. Because the way it looks is that, as we discussed, you have a CT who comes over, who does this Molotov. This makes it so there is very limited support for the guy who's playing inside banana, especially now that the roof is bigger. It's possible for the T's to help with flashes here, but they're not able to peek. And our first guy on banana who has an MP9, like this would be for example a low buy type of round, instead of smoking deep banana like we discussed before, what he does is he just looks for this pillar and he just bounces a Molotov and runs. This Molotov lands, so the guy who's playing inside banana will want to turn it off. And by doing it in this way, the guy with the MP9 can Molotov and instantly go and clear, while this guy is trying to smoke off the Molotov. Combining these two Molotovs together makes it so no one can basically be here and helping the guy inside banana. And it's a way to win banana control as CT without basically having a lot of money. And it's very surprising, so it can be a round that you maybe throw into the mix when you wanna change the pace on B. So now, with taking banana control, we have a very default way of doing it, and we have also, taking it in the rogue way. For the second banana player, his role is sort of less important. If he wants, he could try to bounce a flash like behind the wall. What I like to do a lot, at least this worked pretty well in CSGO, is that the second guy can just bounce a flash like this. If you bounce a flash in this corner, this guy will always get blind, if I'm not mistaken. And this means the MP9 player who's coming down here, if he doesn't catch the guy with a smoke in hand, and this guy's actually taking a duel, it's just even safer with this flash. So that is kind of two ways of taking banana. Just for the sake of it, I want to show you this smoke. It is kind of in between taking banana and midway aggression. You can get stuck behind this chair, and you can aim here in the middle of the window and do a regular jump throw. This one goes over all the buildings, and it lands and blocks off kind of the middle part of banana, which allows you to use this model we discussed earlier. And now you kind of have the middle part of banana. This is a way to kind of take banana in a more slow fashion. What you would do is, after this smoke is disappearing, you can then decide to smoke deep, and you can do like a deep Molotov as well. I don't think
you
this...
smoke line up one more time, sorry?
Yeah, absolutely. So you just get stuck in this chair in spawn. It could be probably a mid player throwing it, and then just here on the window.
Right.
So like that. Yeah. If you guys are confused about any lineups, or you want to rewatch anything from the class, I should be uploading it on my second channel afterwards, and I believe like Gosu Academy will also be uploading it to a site of their choosing. So yeah, just so you know, it should be possible if you forget a lineup or something like this. I want you guys to know that this is possible. And I can also, I guess, explain real quick what the thinking is behind this. It's a slower way of taking banana, where you kind of don't open yourself up to as many risks at the beginning of the banana take, but it also means you gain the banana control at a later time. It can be good if you're playing against a team who plays very aggressive in the beginning, for example, where you want to fight more the guy who is trying to take space, like the T who's maybe rushing up banana. You can kind of isolate him a little bit more from his team and then take banana later. But what could happen when you do this, and why I don't like it that much, is that when you when the smoke fades and you want to go to the second stage, the T's recognize this and they will react towards A. And getting the banana control late is what kind of hurts you sometimes. But now at least you guys have that as another option. Talking about midway aggression, as I call it. Let me go ahead and buy an AK again. Maybe I can actually just do this. Midway aggression is most of the time played... well, it's played together, but also sort of individually. Most banana players on CT will have a sort of designated anchor and a sort of designated rotator. You will typically see one guy who is more the aggressor on B, and one guy who is more the sort of support. So midway aggression kind of is the best way to showcase that, where the aggressor of the CTs on banana will be out sandbags, and playing for contact. When he gets contact, he ducks down, he gets a flash, he peeks up, and he kills. Or, for example, he is holding, gets flashed, he hides, he gets a flash, he checks, no one's here, he uses his Molotov, and he blocks. Those are very standard things to do on Banana. Now, I think we probably, most of us who at least have some Counter-Strike experience will know the antenna flash. There used to be an antenna here in CSGO, and now there is one in CS2 as well. What I found is that if you try to throw it like this, it will not land. It will just pop here on the roof, where it won't blind anyone. So make sure if you're doing the antenna flash in CS2, aim up from the antenna up to this corner. And we can check it just to show you guys how it looks. This flash will take anyone who's trying to peek sandbags. And this is, yeah, it's both good as a check flash, where you, like, for example, are hiding. You're listening as CT on when the Ts are using utility to come take banana control. And then you get the flash, you go out, you dodge it, you can check it. And if they're not here, you again could Molotov this off, and you kind of still won the top of banana control. If the Ts are in this space, you get the flash, you come out, you kill, and then you can still maybe get your utility off. It can be used as a check flash, as I said, but it can also be used as a sort of after contact flash, which I mentioned earlier, where guy's playing sandbags, he gets contact, either by getting flashed or seeing someone, he tries to take the fight, he hides, gets a flash, boom, checks. Another way of playing midway aggression could be to, for example, have someone playing here and someone playing sandbags. This allows for a little bit more trade opportunities, but it also makes the flash slightly worse. So this I did quite a bit with BlameF back in Heroic when I played there. And what I would do is I would just hold a double click flash up in the sky here behind. When BlameF would get contact, I would flash this flash and then I would swing with it. It's not a fantastic flash, but it will get anyone out of this space and potentially here as well. The issue with this can be that the person swinging from this corner will end up having a lot of the fights by himself, simply because if they are out here, they get blind, they fall back a little bit, and the natural angle for them to take after is the corner. So make sure if you try to play it like this, that it's a quick check, and if you don't feel like you have a favorable fight, you don't have to help anymore. It's all about allowing the sandbags player to get a flash in his back, and then also being able to support. Another way to play midway aggression that worked in CSGO, which I haven't really found a way to do yet, is in CSGO there was a possibility of Molotoving behind the wall by standing something like this. Right now you can do a Molotov like this, which I guess is kind of okay, but with the lack of skyboxes this is a little bit more difficult. I know that some people have found lineups as well. I'm not exactly sure how, but where you can do like a retake set for banana. And this would be another avenue that you guys can explore if you want to try and help your teammate on banana. That way, for the sandbags player, he gets contact. Instead of getting a flash, he gets a smoke at the wall, and then gets a Molotov landing here on the barrels, which blocks off banana on contact and delays the Ts a whole lot. And yeah, I guess that's kind of it. I think there will potentially be ways where you could also sit here with a Molotov, maybe have a lineup, double click, that goes out and lands behind the wall. I don't think it is extremely useful, which is why I haven't prepared any lineups for this. But it would be possible to give you guys more options to have a lineup like this, double click, crouch forward, and when this Molotov lands, which it did now, then you can peek with it and help your sandbags player. But basically these are just different options for you guys to try for the midway aggression. So, moving on over to the passive setups. I showed this earlier with the jiggling of the smoke or Molotov, which is very common. And with this, I want to show you a setup called AGO. Some of you may be familiar with this team. This was one that had extremely high win percent for my teammates back in a team called Undefined. And I actually really like this setup as a passive setup. This guy is just jiggling with a smoke, and when he gets contact, he just throws it on this wall. The idea is to block off this area so that the T's, if they want to push through it, are forced to go through the smoke and won't be able to have a whole lot of support. Or if they want to stay behind it, you have done an effective job of blocking them. This smoke is part of it, and the other part of it is having someone either sitting with a flash like this, or sitting with a flash like, I believe it was like this. Either of these flashes will be good so that when this smoke gets dropped on B and the T's decide to push through, either they will get a flash that looks like this. Hang on. We'll do it like this. Either they will get a flash that pops like this, right in their face, or by going sort of directly onto here and aiming here, and underhand jump throwing, you get a flash that pops sort of high, but behind this wall that you can peek with. So imagine that the T's are now pushing through the smoke. You have the setup ready. One guy is here with flash, and when this flash comes, you're ready to swing out. You check, you kill, and your teammate who was CT with the smoke, he swings out with the flash as well, and you try to kill anyone who made it through the smoke. A super effective setup, and a different way of doing it as well could be having a perfect lineup for the smoke, maybe something like this, but having the coils player playing like a pixel angle. This is slightly harder now with the new map, and it would also be, I guess, just in general more difficult to throw this flash, since you would have to get like a pixel spot, fall all the way back, and for example do a flash like this. So I would probably recommend doing it with the CT guy jiggling. The reason I said exactly a smoke is because you can imagine if you're jiggling with Molotov and you block with a Molotov, now when you peek with the flash, it won't be as effective because the T's will be able to still peek you while you are behind the Molotov. So that is AGO. I really recommend to try this out in PUGs because it is very, very effective. For another possibility on the passive setups, I have a setup called Heroic. It's pretty simple and is a decent setup to employ when you are out of utility. So one sits top of second and the other guy sits bottom second, or like bottom first. What you want to be doing here is you want to be holding the exact same line so that when the first T who is crossing out, imagine there's CT smoke, he's peeking over here, he now gets contact on two players at the exact same time. It is a setup you can play without a whole lot of utility, and the only thing I guess you need to know about this setup is if you as a CT don't sort of start in this setup, there's obviously a sound cue when you jump over to second. So if you want to do this late in the round, it can be worth having your teammate go here and boosting you up so you can get up here without making sound and then getting into the setup. When it comes to passive setups in general, there's a lot of room for creativity because almost everything works as long as it makes sense. Another setup that is a possibility could be to have some guy playing a pixel angle from here, and after he gets contact, you have a guy triple who's just ready with the Molotov on this wall, the Molotov's off, and now you have done an effective job of blocking the T's. You can then later follow it up with just any random smoke that bounces on this wall, and you've blocked off the area on contact. This is a way to keep your nades for later, and instead only using the grenades when it's absolutely needed. I think this pillar as well is one where you can do some kind of interesting stuff with. If you notice these corners, they are a little bit open, and the same with the lower corners here. So it might be possible to find an angle where you can kind of get contact on the T's before they can really see you, or at least before they can kill you. Even something like this, and having a teammate standing ready with a Molotov and you fight together on contact, is very powerful and will probably isolate the first two T-sided players in front of the Molotov. But as I mentioned, being creative is very much possible. You can play around this pillar as well. One thing to note is that if you're playing an AWP, for example, and you want to play it here from around pillar, a lot of people hold an angle like this, but when the T's do their entry flash, it lands up here and you will be blind. So in one of my past teams, I've had the rule that as an AWP, you want to try the whole left side of the pillar for the first point of contact, and using this pillar as a way to dodge the flash. After you've taken this kill, the rest of the flashes most likely are going to be thrown into CT like this from the T's. And that is sort of when you swap to the other side, as you can imagine. Let's try to throw a entry flash here. So you can see flashes here. If I'm holding like this, I'll get blind. If I'm holding like this, I get late contact. I kill this guy. And then when the rest of the flashes go into CT, I'm now using the pillar on the opposite side to block these flashes and kind of give myself body armor for any of the T's who are coming into pool. Yeah. I guess that was kind of 3 ways to play Inferno Banana, and it's kind of 3 different approaches to it. As I mentioned at the start of the session, now we will be moving into the part where we talk about counters. So this is ways to basically ruin everything that I just told you guys. It's a way where if you are in a position where you're playing against people who are very good on CT and know exactly what to do, you do your best to make their life hard. That's basically it. Actually, before we move further, I just want to let you guys know as well, there's the possibility, of course, of playing on boost with one CT, having your second guy playing with like the jiggle of the smoke, or playing sight. It's really up to you. As I said, you can get creative in many ways with these different ways of taking, or like playing Banana as a CT.
Question?
Yes, exactly. Hit me.
If you want to play passive on B, you'd be more prone to fakes, right? So, do you want your A players in team environment to try and get more info towards mid, second mid? Or how do you want them to play when you're playing passive on B?
It's actually a super good question. I think one of the things we... well, let me start a little bit differently. It kind of depends on what team you are, because if you are a Virtus Pro, for example, you enjoy basically gamble stacking on CT. And it's very hard for the T's to read the way that you decide to play your CT side. You might have very little info, but you still obviously have a ton of mind games from previous rounds that you can kind of rely on, right? If you watch a lot of Virtus Pro, they will, for example, let people have full Banana and let them have top mid, and then kind of play a gamble stack of 4 towards A on a buy round. This is a I would say, more inconsistent style of Counter-Strike, because you're relying more on winning the mind game rather than, I guess, winning off of fundamentals. And so, realistically, it depends a little bit on what kind of team you are and what kind of team you want to be. But one thing that we did when I was playing in Sprout, which I really liked, is that we always tried avoiding playing in the dark. Now, playing in the dark is just basically a way to explain playing without information. If you play really passive, as you mentioned, you are basically playing in the dark. You don't know where the T's are currently gathering up. You don't know when they're going to hit sites, and it's on some maps kind of okay to play in the dark because it's hard for the T's to execute. But on a map like Inferno, playing in the dark is really, really tough. And that's typically why you want to do some kind of an info play. A good info play on A could be, if you have your AWP player playing here, maybe on timing he just contacts low and just checks mid if there's no smoke here. If he sees no one is mid, you know they're B. The same way on B, a little bit in the kind of same vein as the midway aggression, doing an antenna flash to check out here when it feels like you need some kind of information is very good. And there are like just honestly a ton of ways you can play for info while you're still playing passive. One thing I can kind of teach you with this question is you can do what's called like a bait push. A bait push would be, say the timer is running pretty low and you've got 40 seconds left. Maybe you have decided that you are going to play 3 people around B because you expect the T's to come B. Well, what some teams choose to do is that one guy, maybe the AWP or maybe a rifle, will kind of just contact out here and check what's up. If he doesn't see anyone, he allows his teammates to rotate away. And if he sees someone and he kills them, it's likely that the T's are going to rush A. But if he gets contact and he dies, what would probably be the common reaction for T's if you get like an entry on, let's say, 40 seconds left towards banana? What do you guys think? Like as a T?
Yeah, start again.
Yeah, sorry,
Pushing
maybe
the B.
Yeah, I would say I will give the question again just so people understand the answer as well. But I agree with your answer. If you as a T are playing a 5-on-5 and a CT decides to contact or maybe gets an antenna flash and he dies, the normal T reaction would be like, okay, we killed the banana player, let's speed up B and take it kind of in a sloppy way. So it might be just, this guy just runs and does this smoke, he bounces a flash CT, he gets an entry flash, boom, he goes in, and he doesn't do everything perfectly. And that's the idea of a bait push, is that you send out one guy to either find information that they are on the other side of the map, or basically to die, which forces the T's to make a decision to rush into your bomb site, where you now still have 2 players. In this event where we were stacking 3B, right? There are many ways we can regain this info, especially on a map like Inferno, but you are definitely correct that if you play passive, you won't have a lot of information. And just to give you another idea of an info play, what I liked a lot to do as AWP, if I felt like we needed some kind of information, you can come over here, you can do something like this. It's just a super default EPS flash. In fact, maybe on CS2 you need to go on this barrel. But just flashing EPS like this and having your teammate check it means that you can clear EPS, and if they're not EPS and they're not making noise on mid, they are probably going B. A lot of the time you can even do this flash just to check for info, because the way people react to this flash if they're inside EPS is if they are getting ready to do an EPS pop, when they get blind they either shoot or they step. And it's possible to use this flash just for sound information, basically. Did that kind of answer your question? I don't have Discord open.
Yeah,
So
kind
yeah.
of, but
Yeah.
I feel like if these were a bit more aggressive, then that wouldn't work as well, right? Because in teams, some teams would obviously wait down the clock, try and take map control slowly, but some teams wouldn't do it as slow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're playing too passive on both sides, then you're just gonna get caught off guard.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think I will kind of wait to give you an answer on this, because I think we will revisit this a little bit in the last session, section. Sorry. I want to talk counters, and then I want to talk about when to do what, basically, on both sides. And definitely, if you play, let's say, passive 10 rounds in a row, this is not going to be good for your team. That's why I'm giving you sort of all these options, and then at the end of the session, I will try to be explaining when you should do what. Then, hopefully, if you do it right, the Ts are not going to know if you play passive, or if you're playing midway aggression, or if you're playing taking banana, right? So now that we've talked about all these things on CT, I want to talk about counters. We talked a little bit about counters on the taking of banana. There are two ways to do it. One is that as a T, you play inside banana, and as I showed, when this Molotov comes, you can turn it off pretty far on the left to kind of give yourself a gap to play in. Then you can ask for a flash from your teammate, and you can check like this if you do the smoke correctly, or if you didn't do the smoke correctly on the flash, you can go through and you can kind of fight in this area. This is a pretty effective way of denying the CTs of taking banana, because when the CTs don't know if this area is clear, you kind of make their deep smoke useless, and you also make their close molo useless, since when this Molotov is fading, if you get this flash, you go through. Now the CTs have wasted a smoke and 2 Molotovs, and they've gained pretty much absolutely nothing. Another way to counter this, where you are playing outside banana, is by simply throwing this Molotov that we've probably all seen. Back in CSGO, it was for many years meta to throw it like this, where it would burn in front of the barrels, but also behind the barrels, so the orb couldn't peek. Now, what a lot of people did was they would do some kind of info jump like this, where, as you can imagine, when this Molotov hits, you can still do info jumps to check if the T is going into wood. And you can kind of, depending on how the Molotov lands, also jump to the side sometimes without taking damage, which will allow you to see if the T is sneaking up close. That's why, for the last year or so, the more meta Molo has been to bounce it a little bit higher up, so it goes deeper. This one still makes it kind of impossible for the AWP to peek here, since he will have to run through Molotov, and then after his shot he will have to run back through Molotov. But it also denies any chance of this info jump, and it also still blocks off the CTs from doing something very aggressive, like the rogue we talked about earlier. This Molotov is effective to block the CTs from going down and taking banana, but you kind of get the same from this Molotov as it blocks off, I don't know, this one is kind of bugged a little bit, but it blocks off the same kind of space. And so what some teams will do is when the CTs start taking banana, they will throw this Molotov, and when this Molotov is about to fade, both of the CT Molotovs have faded, and then the T simply follow up with yet another Molotov, which again kind of renders the CT smoke and 2 Molotovs useless if the CTs didn't choose to run through this. For the sort of face-it grinders, or like the pug gamers who are here, what I recommend, since it's not always easy to have perfect teamwork with your randoms, is throwing this Molotov, and as this Molotov is about to fade, you can follow up with an HE the same way, and then spam through the smoke. So, Molotov is fading, I nade top banana, when it hits, I spam. This is because when this Molotov is fading, that's the timing when the CT wants to take the space, and if you hit him with an HE, he gets slowed, and you spam this lane, you are quite likely to get a kill. And otherwise, if you don't get the kill like this, you can go out and spam this, because this is always the area where the CT will go to. When he crosses, he will try to go down on this wall, so he can clear this. And that's why this kind of spam is good. So this is 2 effective ways of countering the CTs from taking banana. Now, just for the sake of it, anyone who has watched pro games will probably know that there is a counter to every counter. So if you are the T playing inside banana, for example, and you do smoke yourself, well, what a lot of CTs will do is that they will choose somewhere to double nade. Either they will double nade right side, so that if you're playing inside wood and you get naded, you die from the double nade, or they will double nade left side, so that if you are doing the smoke here, your smoke will first of all disappear with the nades. Then they can run down after the Molotovs, and if you didn't die from the nade, you will die from the CTs clearing you. And in fact, some teams even do it that they split up the nades, which can also be quite smart. Because instead of kind of getting a kill off the double nades, you guarantee always hitting like 30-40 damage. So what I mean with splitting up is they will do 1 wood, and then the other guy will do 1 here. That way, if any T is playing inside banana, he's taking at least 30-40 damage, no matter where he plays. And then, obviously, the way Counter-Strike works is we could go probably to infinity, talking about, okay, what do the Ts do against these nades? We're not going to go that deep today, because we won't have time. But now I've at least shown you how to take banana as CT and how to counter the most natural banana aggression. As a CT, I will show you real quick as well. If the Ts are playing outside banana and they're stacking up Molotovs, that's when you could do potentially this rogue, like we talked about. Where if the Ts decide to Molotov this, well, then the mid player, as we talked about earlier, will Molotov mid. The Ts now cannot re-Molotov banana. And because the first MP9 is running the entire way, he's beating this Molotov a little bit, he's coming here, and now he has the space, and then he could potentially even smoke off ramp instead of smoking off banana. Again, there's a counter to any counter. It's Counter-Strike. Any questions about this? Okay. Otherwise, we'll move on. So, was there someone who wants this? No. Okay. So, countering midway aggression as T is all about taking first this banana part. I will let you know real quick, if you were not aware, if the CT is standing here, you can now see his head over the wooden boards. So, if the CT wants to peek you deep on timing, or if he's trying to stand here and hide, you can kill him like this. Obviously, he can still crouch. Yeah, now you know it. Countering the midway aggression, there are a couple of ways. One way, which is sort of popular, is that if the CTs are playing midway aggression or like out in this space every round, what you as T can do is you can run up here with the front spawn. When you get here, you can bounce a smoke off this, go like this, and basically kill. Some people even choose to bounce a nade for sandbags, come up and kill. The idea of this play is that you come here and the smoke bounce is to turn off the close CT Molotov. We can test it out just so you can see. If this Molotov is here. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. If the smoke is like this. Yeah, normally the Molotov comes like 1 second after the smoke, but it's hard for me to show when I'm alone on a server. But basically the smoke here is to turn off the Molotov. And then the idea is that your teammate comes over here and he throws like a flash on the wall. With this flash, you go up and you try to kill the guys who are playing midway aggression from the start. And as I mentioned, what some people choose to follow up with a grenade after the smoke, get the flash and go up and try to fast clear sandbags. This is one aggressive counter to the midway aggression, and in my teams this has been called Skate. So Skate is doing the smoke, it's the Skate smoke, and then you can follow up with a nade if you want. Then you should always say to your teammate, hey, I need a flash for wall on this. This is one way to do it, but in case you don't want to go for something that's kind of all in, or in case you want to retake this area later, one way could be to simply get a flash for the wall. Again, I don't have like a perfect lineup, but I think if you can see this thing and this, and you aim somewhere in the middle, maybe a little bit lower, you get some kind of wall flash. The wall flash is not as easy to throw anymore in CS2. I found a lineup for it. I believe if you aim here and stand still, you can sort of self-pop flash behind the wall. And it might be nice for you guys to know. But basically you ask for a wall flash, and then you could potentially double nade sandbags, get the flash, boom, come up. And if he's playing sandbags, he's either dead or very low. And with the flash, it takes the orb if he's sitting here. It takes the sandbags guy if he's playing here. And this is one way to counter midway aggression. Another very easy counter is either to Molotov sandbags or to Molotov the choke point here. I sometimes call this choke, but it's a little bit up to you what you call it. What I see a lot of people do wrong is that when they Molotov sandbags, they will Molotov maybe something like this. And it can sometimes lead to this corner being untouched, which is very dangerous because the CT is in a very unexpected position. So just always, no matter where you are, if you're here, always hit as far on the right side of this wall as you can, as this will always give a perfect Molotov. And it's the same for the HE, throw it as far to the right as you can. Yeah, that's one way to do it. The idea of this Molotov is obviously that this guy either uses a smoke and is playing around his smoke, which is tough, or he is forced out where any flash can take him. So something that you could try, for example, is doing the Molotov, doing the flash. When he comes out, he's blind, you kill him. Now, personally, I am a big fan of double nading sandbags, but when it comes to the Molotov, I am a bigger fan of doing a Molotov on the choke. The reason why I prefer Molotoving the choke is because if the sandbags guy is here, you are now locking him in to a point where, let's say he gets Molotov, he jumps out, maybe he sometimes makes it across, but if he gets Molotov here, it's basically like cutting off any support he is able to get, except for flash support. And it means that you isolate him here, where he is still pretty susceptible to flashes, but even what can sometimes be done is you will Molotov the corner, like choke, and then you will double nade sandbags. There's absolutely zero you can do against this if you're playing midway aggression, because if they play it in the heroic way that I showed you earlier that I did with BlameF, and one is holding a flash here, when this Molotov comes, he has to step back. While he can still flash, it's very difficult for him to help his teammate, and it's, in my opinion, a much better way of isolating this guy out here. Countering the midway aggression is pretty simple. There is not that much to it. Another way of doing it, which is a little bit different, is you can boost here, and you can check and headshot angle if the orb is out here. If he's not here, you can jump up in this wall, which is easier without no clip. And when you're up on this wall, you can actually clear sandbags kind of like this. You will see his head, and he won't be expecting this off angle. That's another way to try this. So, going into countering passive setups. It is, I would say, more of a understanding of when the CTs play passive setups rather than having a specific counter to the passive setups. Now, the thing with taking banana, for example, is that taking banana as a CT is 9 times out of 10 something that you do at the start of the round. It is very rare that CTs wait the first 30 seconds without doing any utility and then they decide to take banana. But the thing with passive setups is that it's something you can start in, and it's also something you can end in, which can make it a little bit more tricky, but if you have a good understanding of when they're doing what, it's much easier for you to actually win these rounds. Now, as I also said, for the CTs, they can get very creative, and there are a million different passive boosts that you can do. So, like not passive boosts, but passive setups. So as a T, it's not like there is the same way with the midway aggression. There's a very clear formula. Molotov this corner, get a flash up in this space or over the wall, and if you really want to take it hard, double nade sandbags. There's a very clear formula that is hard to beat for the CTs. But against the passive setups, what it really comes down to is this. Does the passive setup, like did they start at the passive setup, slash did they not use any grenades in the entire round? Well, that means they are saving nades. If they are saving nades, the only way you can go to the B bomb site is if you do it in a way where you pop. You can imagine if you're coming out here and you are like doing any random CT smoke, and you do a ruin smoke as well. Okay, any random CT smoke and you do any random ruin smoke. Well, what the CTs are going to do if they have a lot of nades is they will Molotov here, and then after this Molotov, they will smoke it off, and they're going to block you, with which you've now wasted 2 of your smokes. 3 if you fail one, like me. When CTs are doing a passive setup with a lot of grenades, the way you want to typically counter it is you want to go with what's called a B pop. Now, the easiest way to do a B pop is you kind of need only 2 active parts, potentially 3. You have one guy who is the entry. This guy is checking here first. Typically, it doesn't always have to be, but if you know, for example, the CTs are not playing AWP, you can check. You don't have to. But at least his job is to take a smoke, and as this flash is coming over, he will smoke and run, dodge the flash, and come in and try to kill. And he wants to try to scale and take as much space as possible. The second important part is you have a guy who's ready with a flash. I flash like this. You can check the lineup. This one pops here, just for the sake of everything. This guy's blind. This guy's blind. I think this guy should be blind. And this guy should be blind. So this is what's called... well, it is A, but on Inferno this is the God Flash for B. The reason it's called the God Flash is because it's pretty much the best flash you can throw, and it flashes all angles. So this is the second guy. He will do this flash. And it's with this flash that the entry goes. So he will say flash, and on this flash, this guy goes, boom. Now it flash pops, and he goes in and tries to take space. He can clear boost as well if he wants. The third and final part is just doing a ruin smoke, and he can just do that kind of at the same time as a flash. And with this ruin smoke, now you have a full B pop, but it kind of looks the same as an execute. The reason why you want to do a B pop instead of an execute is because you want to try and beat the CT utility. In the event that this guy is jiggling with a smoke, now he gets blind, he tries to throw some random smoke, and now he's maybe falling back. Now CT is smoked, he's playing behind the utility, and he is in trouble when he's trying to support his teammate on the side. If they're playing double side, this flash will anyway take everything. What we talked about, this heroic setup, these guys will also be very blind. If they are playing pillar and they're not doing it in the correct way, they will also get blind. It is just a very good way of handling a passive setup when they have a lot of nades. But it changes, because in the event that the CTs have come over here and they have used all their utility on taking banana, what we showed earlier, when they now don't have any grenades left, it's very difficult for them to play passive. The 2 CTs have used a smoke, 2 Molotovs, and it leaves them just with 1 smoke left. If they only have 1 smoke left, and they are doing this kind of jiggle, it's still possible to kind of go through this smoke. Because you won't be slowed down by Molotov, you won't be slowed down by a whole lot, there will only be this 1 smoke. One way to sort of alleviate this as well is that you, as a T, you will come over, you will do a CT smoke, and this forces the CT who is jiggling with the smoke to either smoke it or hold it. We're going kind of deep right now, so if I'm losing some of you, it's kind of okay. But basically you can use this smoke to test the waters. If the CT decides to use his last remaining smoke on B, you have traded 1 smoke for 1 smoke, and the CTs are now out of utility. This allows you to do a very good B execute with smoke, both ruins and CT, and triple Molotov, and the God Flash that we talked about before. Oh, I actually failed the triple Molo a little bit. The God Flash, and then you can go and you can do many flashes CT, and you can go in and you can take it in a pretty calm and slow tempo, because you know the CTs have no return utility. In the event that they play passive with nades, you go for a pop. In the event that they go passive without nades, you go for an execute. This is obviously a very simplified way of understanding it, but as long as you understand this very general rule of thumb, you will have a much better time when going B. Really, your tempo on B needs to be decided by how much utility the CTs have to return to you. And that's also why, with the question that was asked earlier, what do you do when you play without info? It kind of depends, because if you're a CT who tried taking banana, and you had maybe banana at the beginning, and then after a while you fell back and you play passive, you don't have a lot of grenades, well, you kind of need to play for some sort of information. But in the event that you've played passive from the start of the round, and the Ts have played super slow and are taking banana control very slow, then you will still have a lot of nades for late, and you're able to easily play passive without a bunch of information. So really it depends on what you are against. And that kind of brings us to the next thing, and the final thing as well, which is when to do what. So for the when to do what, it is, as a CT, if the CTs take banana every single round like this, with the good Molotov here, well, if the CTs do this 15 out of 15 rounds, me as a player, now knowing the counters, I know exactly how to counter this. I know that when they do this every single time, there are a couple of counters. One of them is playing inside banana, and another one could even be the skate that we talked about earlier, where you do the skate smoke, bouncing it off here and taking it, which was a counter to the midway aggression, but also kind of works against this. Another counter could be doing the double Molotovs on B that we also discussed, where you do the Molotov, you wait, and when it's about to fade, you follow up with another one. And so, if the CTs are easy to read when taking banana, they are easy to counter. When the CTs are doing midway aggression every round, 15 out of 15 rounds, now that we know the counter, they are very easy to counter, and CTs who are predictable are easy to counter. If they play passive from side every round, from the start of the round, well, probably you don't use any utility on banana, you just take it while sneaking, and when you get close, you do a B-pop. And now you know the counter to this, what they're doing, playing passive with nades. And let's say they every round kind of feign aggression towards banana. They do all these grenades, but they never take it, because you have a guy who is smoking off the Molotov, and you see they're never taking it. Well, now they're playing passive without nades, meaning you have to take it with a full execute. That is why CTs who are predictable are easy to counter. I'll even write it down so you guys can see it, because this is really, really important on basically any map. CTs who are predictable are easy to counter. Because we know CTs who do the same thing over and over again, because we know all the counters, we know exactly how to counter them. This kind of is why I'm now segueing into when we are CT and fighting for banana, we cannot be doing the same thing every round unless the Ts do nothing to counter it. Let's say I'm playing CT and the first buy round I'm telling my teammate to take banana and we do the 2 Molotovs and the Ts play outside banana and they don't use any return utility. Well, that's great. It means we have banana for free and we can just go ahead and info jump the entire time with a smoke, and if the Ts try to take banana, we just smoke it off. Meanwhile, we play 4 on A. If the Ts allow you to take banana every round, you can of course do it. But in the event that you are trying to take banana and the Ts are doing any of these counters and you cannot take banana, well, next time you gotta try something new. Maybe you start in mid-round aggression and you try to use flashes to check. Or maybe you start in a passive setup where you try to move into midway aggression at a later time. Like starting passive with nades, when you hear the Ts are about to take it, okay, you bounce just a random Molotov like this on car, you walk close, you have your teammate ready with this antenna flash we discussed, you take it, and boom. Being unpredictable as CT is the best way to not be countered. Because a good player who knows the counters and knows when to use the counters, he is going to beat you every single time if you can't change up your play. In my opinion, this is the difference between a, let's say, 2k elo player and a 3k elo player. A 2k elo player, I'm talking about Faceit elo in this moment, he probably has a comfort zone in which he plays, but if you pull him out of that comfort zone, he's very bad at changing things up. A 3k elo player, he understands that part of being unpredictable and changing things up. As at the same time, if you are predictable, I mean, me playing against a predictable player, it's amazing. Because if this guy wants to go for banana control 15 out of 15 rounds, it means he's probably been doing this the last 10 Infernos as well. So if I'm able to counter what he is doing, he is completely out of his comfort zone. He has to do something he hasn't done the last 10 Inferno games. This is why these things are extremely important. And that's why I don't want you guys to take banana every round, or play midway aggression every round because it's comfortable, or play passive every round because it's comfortable. I want it to be, one time, you take banana. Okay, it was a big banana fight, but we won it. Now, maybe we can do the deep smoke and just one Molotov, and then we save the rest of the utility, and we start by playing passive. Because now, the Ts, they have to use a ton of utility to even take the space. And when they then want to hit the site, now you're playing passive with nades, and it's hard for them to do, a proper execute. They might again go for sort of the B pop, but you are able to buy a lot of time. You could still play passive, use your Molotov, go for a check flash with mid-ray aggression. Changing it up on CT is really just something you have to do, basically. And that's kind of the same as on T. If you, every round, hold your utility and you don't use it, and you let them take banana, and then you go for a retake banana every round, well, you're doing a disservice to yourself, because it's so easy for the CTs to know exactly what to do. If you are the T and you see that the CTs are every round going for this like normal banana control, as soon as you do this counter with a double Molotovs just once, and you show the CTs that this banana control is not free, well, now the CTs have to come up with a new solution. And that is, while it's a very hard question to answer, because obviously I cannot sit and explain to you guys exactly what to do in which round in your next 10 matches. I hope at least that what I've explained now makes sense and sort of resonates with you. And I hope some of these things have also given you a little bit of a new perspective on Banana, but also potentially giving you more options that you can utilize in your own game. For the when to do what part, it's mainly predicting what the opponent is going to do and doing the counter that is appropriate. And with that, I think I got kind of through the material that I had prepared for today. So I think now I will ask if there are anyone who has a question. And then we take it from there.
How would you apply being like more unpredictable in a Pugs situation?
Well, I would just simply, I guess, in the first buy round. Actually, I can kind of answer this with a story a little bit. You probably know this guy if you're into CS, like Cyclone. He's right now the head coach of Mouse, and he was a teammate of many years of myself. And I remember back in 2016, he had this idea. This was before there was a lot of demo watching and stuff like this. I'm not sure it applies as much today. But he had this idea that in the first buy round, you should always, on CT, do the buy round that you feel is the best buy round. So I think in the first buy round in a PUG, play to your own comfort zone. If you like playing passive on sites and playing with nades, if that's what you're comfortable with, you should do that in the first buy round. If you are comfortable taking Banana and this is like your comfort zone, you should definitely do that. And if it works and you're not getting stopped, keep on going. But if the T's are doing something to stop you taking Banana control and you already from the first moment are out of your comfort zone a little bit, that's when you need to start assessing your options and thinking about other possibilities. There will be matches where you as a CT in a PUC can take Banana 50, well, not 15 out of 15 rounds. My brain needs to kind of recalibrate. 12 out of 12 rounds. And if that's possible for you, you should straight up just probably do it. Playing in your comfort zone is great. But there will be games where the T's are so good at countering your aggression that you won't be able to do this. And that's when I want you to have the knowledge I've given you today to aid you in coming up with a solution to your problem, basically. So, being unpredictable in PUGs, I mean, what's great about PUGs, since it's not professional play, no one knows what your comfort zone is. No one has watched or studied your demos or know how you take Banana or what you like to do. So I would say at the beginning, start out with what you like doing. But if it works, you can keep doing it. And if it doesn't work, try out any of the other things I've said today and see how that works for you. Obviously, the better you get, you maybe get good at noticing when you as CT are taking full Banana control and the CTs are doing this double Molotov counter. Well, maybe on the second Molotov, you wait for the Molotov, you come close here, you get a flash that pops, like the fallen flash pops up here, and you just peek because you know the T is walking up in this lane. In Counter-Strike, I said already multiple times today, there is a counter to every counter. So, yeah, I think for the PUGs, start with your comfort zone, and if you get blocked, now hopefully you have something else to fall back on.
Thank you.
Yeah, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Perfect, then I'm happy. Is there anyone else who has a question?
This might be slightly off topic for today's lesson, but with the new mechanic of nading smokes in CS2, have any metas developed on Inferno of like where you what smokes you should nade and when?
I think it's sort of tough to say since we have not even seen a single like pro tournament. I am personally waiting a little bit for IM Sydney to see, but I think this that T's used to do a lot with smoking this and playing defensively around it is kind of, I mean, if you do this double nade now and this smoke clears, it ruins your play quite a bit. The same way, if you do one Molotov, and the CTs are taking banana, well, maybe when your Molotov is about to fade, you now know the CTs are going to take banana control. You just do a nade in the smoke, and you kill the guy who's running down here. Maybe you can even set it up with a teammate that your teammate is holding a flash like this. You nade as you nade, like nade pops, flash pops, and you kill the guy who's running down here. You can use nades to kind of counterplay every single smoke at this point, but it's hard to predict what is going to be like a meta nade. You know what I mean? I think what people are going to surprise us with a lot with I Am Sydney is that, for example, for this banana smoke, it's possible that the T's will literally have a lineup where they're standing like this, so that the nade, without bouncing, lands exactly in the smoke and pops instantly, so that this guy, the nade pops here, so he, as much as possible, can peek with the smoke clearing us. Like this, I think we will see a lot of, but right now it's pretty hard to predict what it's gonna be.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. I just used the Inferno as an example, right? But I mean, I could probably on other maps come up with more things. But yeah, any smoke basically can be kind of disrespected. Imagine that T smoke long. I want to check this. I just do underhand nade. Boom. I check mid. Oh, mid is clear. They're probably going to be. We will see this used a lot more, I think, and it's really valuable to use like that. Any other questions?
Sort of.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I normally play A rotate. And I've been doing at the beginning of basically every round, I've been throwing a deep mid smoke from CT spawn.
Is it this
Sort
one?
of. Yeah.
Yeah, this one, right?
That there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see what your thoughts are on that as an alternative to the banana player smoking deep.
Yeah, I actually wanted to save this for after the questions as like, wow, if you haven't seen this smoke, it's really cool. I do think this smoke is great. I think in pugs it's a little bit less so because the T's take space pretty fast in pugs, and this smoke lands pretty slowly, you know?
Yeah.
But in pro play, using this smoke and molotoving mid, and you know, doing molotovs on banana like we discussed, it makes it so you are able to take a lot of space. Like even without molotoving it, if you just do like a backstep flash, you can come here and check, you know, or doing like a underhand jump throw. If they decide to beat the smoke, you give yourself a lot of good options. So I think the smoke is really good, and I think it's even better in like team CS than it is in pugs. I'm not sure if you've seen this lineup. I don't know it exactly, but I want you to know that it's kind of possible. There is some lineup where you do something like this.
I don't know if I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Right,
maybe it
lands
lands
halfway down mid.
there or something, and it bounces on maybe this, or I don't know where it lands. Let me remove these smokes, but it lands maybe a little bit more like this, but it's much faster, and I think it's a question of time before someone finds like a super. Maybe the pro teams already have like a quicker way. Like I could see it flying over here, and let's say bouncing on this like that, you know.
Yeah.
And getting the same effect. So again, look out for I Am Sydney. I think we could see this. I think the smoke and pugs right now, it's good to do sometimes, but yeah, I think the issue with it is that it's a little bit slow. So if you are like some kind of crazy guy and you are able to find like a better lineup, maybe with a jump throw forward or something that goes over, and that was actually pretty close. But yeah, then I think it has even more use, I guess. And for anyone who wants to learn the smoke, you get stuck in this same chair we talked about earlier. There is this white spot which is like kind of left alone, and you aim a little bit above and a little bit to the right. I put my crosshair something like this, and then you do a normal jump throw. It can fail sometimes, but I would say it's pretty consistent.
I found a more consistent lineup, but
Okay.
it's basically the same.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, if you want to share it, is it from the same place?
Yeah. The same white dot. All you need to do is crouch and jump for.
And do you aim
So you
above
aim
it
at
as
the-
well? Or
No.
on the
you,
dot?
You stand.
Yeah?
You stand, aim at the white dot, and then crouch down and jump through. It feels way more consistent.
Yeah. Oh, it actually pops a little bit different as well. I actually think I like this lineup more. Because it gives yeah. Use this instead, guys.
Do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody exists here.
Are there any other questions while I'm throwing the smoke? So just aim on the white dot and crouch. And... Wait. This was a little bit crazy. But yeah. Maybe I was
First time
messed it
I've
up.
seen that.
Yeah, maybe I was a little bit too quick.
I
Yeah,
might
do you
do the
think
same thing when I just
CS2 will
tried
be
that.
like in a bit better state before IEM Sydney? Still feels like there's some missing things.
Yeah, I kind of hope. Like, the game right now is pretty shit. I'm not gonna
They
lie.
probably have some. They probably have something hidden.
I hope at least. I think there are a lot of issues, and I think it might be a bit of a clown fiesta at Sydney. But time will
I
tell.
think it's a good opportunity for issues to be highlighted
Yeah.
on the main stage.
Completely agree.
So that by the time Cologne comes around, it's going to be like, sorry, not Cologne, Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Play a bunch of shit will be fair.
Yeah, I completely agree with that as well. Any more questions about Inferno B / banana?
I may have missed earlier.
Yeah.
But like, how would you go around when retaking B? Or is it just not advised to retake B?
ST or CT?
CT.
So as CT, there was this like antenna flash. Get stuck here, up from the antenna up to the. Oh, well, you just put your crosshair on the corner of this building. It pops out here, and it should take basically any T. There's also the possibility of just doing like any random flash like this. Boom. I will speedrun it real quick. Something I like to do with AWP as well was just... This is actually OP, and not a lot of people know it. It's one of my secrets here, but I'll share it with you guys anyway. If you bounce like a Molotov here, it will burn all this, right? And if you then just go and do like a flash like this, and peek with AWP, it's like... This flash will take... at least in CSGO it was better with the Molotov. Maybe if you throw it a little bit lower, but it burned... Yeah, like this. Like this is better. And then if you do this flash... Okay. Doesn't have to be that wicked, but anyway, if you flash on top of this... that's annoying. On top of this roof, anyone who is down here will get blind. And so if the AWP is holding, you will get blind, then you can peek after it. Anyone who's trying to hold this will be blind. So as an AWP, you can always retake B alone with just a molo and a flash. There's very little counterplay to this. And as soon as you have this angle, you've retaken B. And then you can hold the angle. Now the only worry is if they boost. But yeah, then you just hit like a flip.
Alright, but what about also in a post-plant situation?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. I don't have like a perfect... I think I get stuck in this plant thing, and I aim at this metal thing. I think this was what I came up with. It's like the best CT smoke I found. Then if you have any Molotovs, you can chuck them left side of triple. And I believe if you get stuck in here as well. No, not sure actually. Basically, it's just there is this. You can bounce a Molotov for pool. There's definitely a better lineup for this, but I don't have it exactly. But you can use this to retake pool. And I mean the dark Molo is harder now, but Molotov spread further, so maybe something like that is good enough. So that's how I would go about it. And then you could just flash something like this. So that... It probably needs to go a little bit further, but then you can take it from ruins. If you find a good lineup for it, it will blind second, first, and both sides of triple, and the guy on top of dark. So.
Okay. Did we go over A? Again, I stepped out.
Yeah, it's all good, man. Don't sweat it. No, today was just about banana because there's just so much to say.
Okay.
So yeah, guys, I think I have time for like one final question, and then I better head to bed because I have to wake up in 7 hours. Is there anyone with one last burning question? Otherwise, guys, I will.
Just,
oh yeah, yeah.
oh, sorry.
No, go
just
ahead.
a little side thing.
Hmm?
It's not about like the topic, but do you upload this video on like YouTube?
Yes,
If you're-
I am recording right now, and from what I know, Gosu Academy will upload to a website of their choosing, but it's my plan to upload my coaching sessions to my second YouTube channel. If you would
Yeah,
like,
well,
I can send you the link.
Yeah, it would be very nice because it takes sometimes until the video uploads on the Academy Hub.
Okay, yeah. Well then, I will definitely do that. Yeah, I will send it afterwards.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I
man.
would also like that link if possible.
I think I will just drop it here in the Discord. I can just put it in the general for now, and then for the future maybe we can have it pinned, or I can find a better place to put it. But then you have at least the channel link. I'm not sure exactly when it will be out, but it might be already tomorrow if you want to rewatch anything. Yeah, guys, it's been a damn pleasure, and I would love to keep talking Counter-Strike and taking questions, but I have an early morning tomorrow, so I just want to say thanks to everyone who came to the session, and I hope you enjoyed this first coaching session by me on Gosu Academy. And if you have any requests for a future session, you can put it in general chat. I will take a look, and the next session that I'll be doing is exactly in 1 week. So yeah, if there's any topic you would like to know more about, or maybe just me going through like a map, can be literally anything. You can put it in general, and I will probably pick one of those. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.